Hello again, and welcome to the second week of Scott Builds a Web App, and apparently talks in the third person. I am working on a web app that lets users tag, share, and organize bookmarks to fight against clickbait and misinformation. I learned a lot about the video making process during the first week. I haven't really had time to digest that yet. I just posted the first video this morning, so I haven't even looked at the feedback, but I really want to get this project to a usable state, and I don't want to slow down for the sake of making these videos. Probably at the end of this week, I'll go spend some time to reflect and refine some things, but for now, it's just more of this. I want to briefly take a look at some of the things I hope to get done this week, mainly so I can have some awesome shots of me crossing things off the list. I'm still treating this as a proof of concept, but ideally I'd like to find some people to play with the app for a bit, actually try to use it for something, so I can get some good feedback about how helpful this actually is. With that in mind, let's look at the list. So first up we have persistence. Obviously, if the app loses its data every time the server goes to sleep, it is useless. Next, I put users. Even if I only have a few people testing this, they probably each want to use it for different things, so each user should have their own collection. Also note, this week I'm trying to refer to it as a collection instead of a gallery. Let me know what you think about that. And then finally, I put polish. Obviously, you could spend forever on that. I will try to time box it and only tackle the most critical, annoying issues. We'll see what that looks like once we finish the rest of the features. So with that said, the first thing to tackle, let's dive in, is persistence. It is already late tonight because I spent a couple hours already just recording this intro. So hopefully persistence will not take very long. If I've done my setup correctly, it should be really quick. Experience tells me I'm going to run into some issues, but we'll see how it goes. I realize if I'm bobbing my head to the music I'm listening to now, it's probably not going to sync with whatever music I had later. Right, so obviously when I spin that up, all the data I had in memory is dead and gone. So for the first time at least, I need to jump back into Hopscotch, send that API request to create the gallery. At least I got a response, so that means adding the Postgres did not totally tank the server, which is good. Let's see, all right, if it shows up, and then if I want to add some items. Okay, now, how do I prove that the database is actually hooked up and this is not going to disappear when the server goes to sleep? I guess I'll just have to do a wipe in the morning and show that the data is still here even when I hit refresh. If I refresh the page, we see the data is still there, so the database is connected. We're good to go. Now I get to officially cross that off the list. All right, I gotta get ready and go to work, but I will see you in the next shot. All right, it's Tuesday evening. Let's go ahead and dive into the users feature, Cue coding montage. So for added confusion, I have my scraping service, which handles taking the URL and grabbing the metadata, the image, returning that back. I have that running currently in a separate Heroku container. Mostly I want to do it as proof of concept of separation of concerns and a microservice style architecture. Right now, it's causing me all sorts of headaches because in Hopscotch, I'm addressing the incorrect Heroku container for attempting to test this new registration endpoint. I need to be pointing at, I think it's this one. Let's see if that does the trick. And it did! Okay, so this successfully returned us a user ID and then a JWT token, which I can then pass in later for authorization and whatnot. And that's that. Now I will move on to client side. Back to React. What? Okay, what I'm going to do first, again, just to make sure everything's working and ignore complications until later, instead of having a separate sign-in page, I'm just gonna stick a registration section up above here to get it working, get the data flow going into and first as my primary concern. Once I have that working, then I'll worry about extracting that out to a separate sign-in page. And I know in order to do that, I need to set up React Router or something like that to handle different URLs on the front end. So first, let's add that section that's going to then connect to the new API that we just set up. Oh, I haven't hooked up the API yet. What am I even, what am I even doing? Okay. Okay, so we got this basically working, very basically. So you saw I put in the username password, and then that sent it off to the server, and it gave me the response with my user ID and the JWT. So, next steps. I need to bubble this up so that it is not, so the authentication data is not stuck in the auth components, so I can pass that down into the other components that are making API requests and other things. And then also I need some more work on this. I need to make sure that, for example, the passwords match with the confirmed password. So let's keep going. So now, hold on, now I don't know why it wasn't working before. Okay, I have been stuck on this for, feels like a couple hours. Finally got it working. Basically, I have a React hook form here, and I was having difficulty getting the error messages to show. It is working now, so depending on what I do, and then if I get it longer, it goes away. This is one of those situations, I'm not sure what the problem was. Somehow it just started working. What I did to eventually debug this after, trying to look things up on Stack Overflow and whatnot, I eventually went back to a test form that I knew was working and was just copy paste from some working code, and then slowly tried to mutate the test form back into what I wanted it to be. In the end, I don't know what specifically it was that was preventing it from working. Obviously, I've littered my code with a bunch of console logs and whatnot, but it is working now. Since this is just a proof of concept, I think I'm just going to accept it and move on. I'm probably going to have to call it for tonight and pick up again tomorrow, hopefully to finish this user registration. So, until then. Okay, it does look like the issue from this form in the configuration of the error message, it looks like if I just put min, then it is not doing anything, and I'm going to do a full refresh of the page to demonstrate / test that. So if I just do ASDF, which should be too short, according to this config min value of 8, no error message, right? But if I change this to min length, do a full refresh, boom, boom, boom. Now we're getting the error message. So even though inside the code that they provide through this tool, it just gives me the min keyword is actually min length. Go figure. And I believe coupled on that to my confusion last night was if I go and change this to min, even though React is doing a hot load here, it is not really updating things, right? So it looks like it's coming through, right? But the hook form itself, I don't believe, has refreshed its config. So if I do a full refresh of the page, actual email address, please. Right. Now it's not working again because I changed it to min, but I set it back to min length. Full refresh. Now it should be working. Cool, mystery solved. Good job, Scooby Gang. Let's keep going. Okay, it seems like we've got at least the sign-in part working. So if I register, let's try my test at test.com. Password is going to be password, obviously, right? We submit that, don't save. We're signed in as random ID, and then I can sign out, right? And then if I sign in again at, I hope I remember what my email address was. And password, submit. I'm again signed in as that same user ID, so we know that it's working. So that's awesome. As obviously, like you would want things like reset my password or anything like that, or email confirmation. For this proof of concept, not going to handle any of that. We're just going to rely on the handful of people I get to test this app to remember the emails that they signed in with, and that's that. Okay, for the sake of brevity, I'm probably going to cut out all the explanation I did in the middle of the process and just do this quick overview of what's going on here. On the server side, I've effectively got 3 different services that are working. For this flow, obviously they're right now on the same container. It's a monolith, but they're loosely coupled. So first we got the client, the React side. He's going to send a register request to the auth service. The auth service sends back his new user ID and the token. The auth service also publishes an event, which the user service uses to create a service. I now need to add for the client to then do a get profile to the user service, which is then going to return a list of the user's collections, which to start with will be empty. But then each time the use every subsequent login, that get profile will then have like the actual collections, because finally I'll add a button on the client, I'll do that next, where the user can create a collection, which will be handled by the collection service. which will return the new collection, which the client will then inject into its user profile on the client side. So hopefully that made sense. Hopefully the drawing makes more sense than I did. But let me go ahead and dive into that. I've added this your collection section, so hopefully when I hit the create new, it is going to send that request to the server. It's not going to handle that response yet, but hopefully we will get a response, or no, it will, or it won't crash. Let's see what happened. Okay, we got this. So now that we have that going, if I refresh, when I do the sign in again, if I can remember which user I am, I think I'm test 4 at this point, I should already have this gallery, this collection, come in with the user profile. So let's see if that works. Oh, or is it gonna crash? The server has died. That can't be helping. Okay, it looks like what's going on, as far as I can tell from these logs, is that I'm serializing the create gallery command and pushing that into the messaging channel, but then when it's coming back out, it is null. So I'm gonna have to dive into the Hawk library and add some logging there to see why it's not able to effectively deserialize that create gallery command. Okay, here's the issue. I was sticking a UUID as the time field instead of the UUID field. So that's awesome. Just gonna fix this up. Okay, next issue. The user service is not apparently registering to the gallery created channel to then add that gallery as one of the user's galleries. Let me hook that up. Okay, we got this working. I'm gonna say that's good enough for tonight. That's what we got now. Next, obviously, I want to be able to click on these to load that specific collection in the lower section here, instead of just this hard-coded example.
Next time on Scott++, because this video is already long enough.
I basically flooded the server with like thousands of requests.
Will our hero finish the web app? Which features will he cross off that list? Tune in to find out.